One of the most common questions I get asked is, how do I choose healthy foods, or how do I know if this food is healthy? As parents, it's especially important to know the answer to this question because our kids and family rely on us to make healthy choices when we buy food and cook meals for them. So it's pretty important we equip ourselves with the right knowledge and how to choose healthy foods because it will impact not only your own, but more importantly, your whole family's health. So in this video, I want to share with you a quick and easy way you can identify in about 20 seconds which foods in the supermarket are healthy or unhealthy choice for you and your family. My thinking is that if at least your basic ingredients are healthy, then the meals you end up cooking will be more or less healthy too. And in this post-COVID work from home, online food and grocery ordering day and age, sometimes all you have to assess the healthiness of certain foods online is just the online nutritional statistics. So it's even more important to learn the skill. And remember to stay until the end where I'll share the actual supermarket brands and items that I'm buying so that you can follow the same healthy choices as me. So let's get straight into it. So the only guidance on healthy foods which has been standardized across the world is the nutritional label. This means all other words you see on the packaging is pretty much marketing, and you can ignore things like low fat, fat-free, zero sugar, guilt-free. These, for the most part, are not really useful guidelines on whether something is actually healthy because they're either very subjective or not really regulated, so companies can say whatever they want. In the end, only the nutritional label is really factual and something you can rely on to compare across different brands and different food types. So let me explain to you how to read a nutrition label. It's literally one of the first skills which I teach my students and tell them it's critical to know because it's like learning how to read a map. Once you know how, it's actually pretty easy and it will take you directly to the right destination. So there are many ways to skin a cat, but I recommend at least checking the following 3 things in this order. Number 1, you should look at how big your food is, aka the serving size, to see what size food the numbers on the label are referring to. For example, this miso soup has a nutritional label based on per 100 grams of soup, but when you look at the packaging, you realize there's actually 850 grams of this soup if you end up drinking it all. So that means that for every number you see here in this table, you actually need to times it by the number 8.5 to understand the actual amount of sugar or fat or protein you will ultimately intake if you drank the whole thing. So the first rule is always to check your serving size first so you are interpreting the right numbers on the label and not getting tricked by the numbers, e.g. thinking there was only 6.4 grams of fat in this, when in fact it should be 8.5 times that, which is 54 grams. Rule number 2, I recommend looking at the total energy or calories because I assume your aim is to cut fat or at least stay healthy by not putting on fat. Then you generally want to choose a lower calorie food on a daily basis so you can keep a calorie deficit. So for example, if you find a food which seems healthy and is low in sugar and fat, but for some reason the calories is still unusually high, then this would make me start to suspect that it isn't really that healthy. Don't worry, I'll explain the full details shortly. So regarding the calories number, whilst calories in itself isn't a conclusive number, it can very quickly tell me if this food is a yes or no when I pick it up, literally within a few seconds. As a guide, your typical 30-minute running or treadmill exercise will help you burn around 300 calories. So if the label says that one serving of the food will give you nearly 600 calories, you know this is on the high side. Whereas if one serving is only giving you around 100 calories, that's not too bad. It's not conclusive, but you can use it as a quick first filter or guide. Rule number 3, aim for foods which have low S and high P, low sugar, low saturated fat, and low sodium, whilst having high protein. Okay, let me break that down for you. Generally speaking, you want to minimize sugar, saturated fat, and sodium in your food or drinks because excess sugar and saturated fats in your body will become body fat, whilst having too much sodium in your diet can lead to high risk of high blood pressure, heart disease, and stroke. So it doesn't mean having none of it, but generally the less of the 3 S's you can have, the healthier your food will be. On the other hand, we want to have higher protein foods and drinks because protein helps us build muscle, which improves our metabolism to burn more calories and fat. So here's an example of identifying a healthy versus not so healthy choice of 2 Greek yogurts in a supermarket. One is labeled all natural, whilst the other shows 0%. So both seem to be healthy. But if you look closely and remember to refer to the per 100 gram column so you're comparing them equally, you realize that one actually has half the amount of calories as the other. This effectively means eating 1 serving of the Farmer's Union one is equivalent to eating 2 servings of the purple one. Then we dig deeper into the 3 S's and high P, and what do we see? For double the calories, you are only getting half as much protein, 4.8 versus 10.3 grams. At this point, I'm already putting the Farmers Union one back on the shelf already because my aim is to get as much protein as I can from as little calories as possible, so I already have a clear winner. But let's continue our assessment to make it conclusive. Saturated fat, 6.5 grams versus 0 grams, winner. Sugar, 5.2 grams versus 3 grams, winner. Sodium, 57 milligrams versus 40 milligrams. Not too bad in this case, but purple is still the winner. So clearly, purple is the much healthier option, and many people, when they don't take the time to understand the nutrition label, just rely on the marketing words on the packaging and think it's actually low fat or natural, and it's just assumed it's a healthy choice. Also, do remember that whilst we are always trying to reduce sugars, sodium and saturated fats whilst keeping protein high, please understand that ultimately it's always a ratio and fine balance. Sometimes to get more protein, the food may have more fats than sugar or carbs. And so long as the ratio of proteins to sugar and fats is still high in favor of protein and low calories, there may still be a healthy choice. So with these figures, you can immediately see which foods are healthy or unhealthy at a glance. And more importantly, compare two similar brands or types of foods and see which is the better choice for your family. So some bonus tips. Go for foods which have a short ingredient list. Why? Because you want to choose foods which are in their original unprocessed form, like this pork chop. We call it whole foods, rather than the same pork being processed with a lot of preservatives, additives, coloring, chemicals, and other unnecessary ingredients mixed in with it, like this pork sausage. So if you look at the bottom of the nutrition label, you can see the ingredient list, and it will show you the largest quantity ingredient first, followed by the second largest, and then the third largest, etc. So in this example, you can see why instant noodles are so terrible. A seemingly simple cup of noodles has probably 20 or 30 ingredients in it, and generally speaking, the more names that you can't read or understand, the worse it is. On the other hand, check out this soya milk that I love. How many ingredients do you see? The two ingredients you would expect and nothing more, water and soybean. Makes sense, right? And again, if you look at a processed form of soya milk like this one, you will immediately understand which is the better choice. So even though this is already the no added sugar version of this soya milk, look at the ingredient list. Milk solid is added in there, I guess, to make it more tasty or creamy, but there's also 3 times the amount of sugar. I would take the blue brand without a doubt. So as promised, what are my healthy choices in the supermarket? Well, if you hadn't noticed, I just revealed them in my examples above. I'm always looking for high protein, low calorie, low sugar, low saturated fat, and low sodium foods. So for example, tuna, whether canned or in the sashimi form, is a very healthy choice, one of the leanest fish, whilst high in protein and low in fat. The trick? Choose the version that is in spring water and not olive oil, because the numbers are so much better. And look at the ingredient list, exactly the 3 ingredients you would expect. And then there's also the soya milk, which I love to use to make my healthy shakes. And the Greek yogurt is a very healthy snack if you mix in some fruits or even nuts. For meats, I'll always buy whole food meats in their original forms, no sausages or ham or bacon. And I buy a lot of fresh eggs. Check out the lovely nutrition label and eggs, and you understand why they'll also be your best friend. So now you're empowered to make smarter and healthy choices in the shop or supermarket for foods without packaging, like choices to make in a restaurant or the fruit market or butcher. That is another healthy food selection skill, which if you're interested, I could explain in a separate video. Feel free to let me know in the comments below if I should do that and what else you want to know. And what I taught you today actually has practical application in real life, because I use the same nutrition and health knowledge I taught you today to help myself cut my big dad belly, lower my high cholesterol, and return my body to 25-year-old energy levels without having to starve myself with restricted diets or using a lot of time each day or do crazy amounts of exercise. If you're interested to understand how I did this in 90 days, I'm doing a free masterclass this week which explains my whole journey in detail. You can access it at bit.ly/Stay Young YouTube. I'll put that link in the description so it's easy to click. As I always say, I believe that being a parent really doesn't mean we can't prioritize our health or fitness and our looks. Indeed, our main priority in life should be to let our kids see the best version of us, because in the end, it all starts with us. I hope you found this video helpful. Give the free tips a try, and I'll see you in the next video.